the Trade Union Congress, TUC, said they are not part of the protest because the decision for the protest, when it was taken, they were not in that meeting. So it is Nigerian Labour Congress that is going ahead with the protest. But of course, the Nigerian Labour Congress comprises of the majority of the labor force in the country. You talk about the civil service at federal level, at state level, at local government level, they are part of the Nigerian Labour Congress. Even different unions across our institutions, they are part of the Nigerian Labour Congress. So, even though the Trade Union Congress is not taking part in this protest, they are not being part of the protest, is not really going to significantly affect the protest, as it were. So, the protest, unfortunately, or will I say fortunately, is going ahead, and it is a problem. It is a problem for our economy. Because do you know, could be, that for each day that we have a protest of the Nigerian Labour Congress, a national protest, for each day, the government loses at least 50 billion naira. 50 billion naira is what we lose in one day of national protest. This is why I thought that the federal government will have done everything within its power to stop this protest from going ahead. But they did very little. The federal government prefers to lose 50 billion daily to a national strike than to do the needful to avert the strike. By the time you multiply the salaries of all the civil servants in Nigeria, because these 2 days protest, that people will not go to work, they will still be paid for those 2 days. The 2 days will not be deducted from their salaries. So it's the federal government that is losing. It is our economy that is losing. The economy is going to lose 50 billion naira at the end of today because of this protest. And yet, our leaders, because of lack of vision, lack of empathy, because our leaders are clueless, because our leaders are selfish, they have refused to engage with labor and avert this strike. What are the demands of labor? The economic hardships are too much. Do something instantly, do something immediately to address it. There is so much insecurity in the country. Address the insecurity. Stop paying lip service to the situation of security in the country. Very simple things that the federal government can do, that the state governments can do, and local governments can do. But our political leaders have other priorities. They have other things that they're interested in doing. And unfortunately, they refuse to come to a compromise with the Nigerian Labour Congress as of last night. And so as of this morning, this protest is going ahead all over the country. And do you know, talking about insecurity, do you know that Nigeria loses more than 100 million? More than 100 million naira every day, not month, not in a year, every day more than 100 million is what we lose due to insecurity in the country. And in fact, we're losing far, far more than that because foreign investors are leaving the country. Over 30 foreign investors have left the country in the last 1 or 2 years. Multinational industries have closed down. And Labour is saying, address this matter. The federal government is just dilly-dallying. They don't seem to be taking the issue serious. So, the protests are going on today, all over the country. Offices will be shut down. Our only appeal to Labour is, please, let this protest be peaceful. Don't disrupt people who want to go about their legitimate activities. Somebody is going to hospital, don't stop him. Don't disrupt traffic. Don't harass people who want to open their businesses. It is their own right to open their business and sell, just as it is your own right to protest. So everybody has his own right. Don't infringe on other people's rights in exercising your own right. Don't go and destroy the business of that widow that is selling kose or masa or vegetables by the roadside. It is all right to protest, and let the protest be peaceful. And we must appeal to our law enforcement agents, because they are also Nigerians. They are also suffering. Police, are you satisfied with the current economic situation in the country? I see the police barracks. Their barracks are worn out, dilapidated. Do you know that some of the police barracks I've seen, if I even keep my dog there, the dog will run away and say, this place is not fit for me to stay. I'm telling you, dilapidated buildings in some of the police barracks that I've seen there across the country. And human beings are supposed to be staying there. The government doesn't care to maintain these police barracks, to maintain their houses, their offices, to maintain the buildings of law enforcement agents in this country. So I know that the police are feeling the pains. How much does a policeman earn as salary? That he'll be buying one bag of rice for 70,000 naira or more. He cannot afford it. His salary cannot afford it. So I know that they are also suffering. In fact, we expect that the security forces should be part of this peaceful protest. We expect that they should be there in their numbers and join the protest.
Okay.
And join the protest and also ensure that the protesters are safe and that nobody is harassed and that the protest is not hijacked.
Okay, Prof, are you suggesting that the police should join even as part of the protesters and also ensure cover?
It's a peaceful protest. And they are Nigerians, they are suffering. Is it only other people that are suffering? The police are telling us that they are not suffering. Then let them be exempted. Let them continue in their suffering. But the police are suffering. The military are suffering. Of course, maybe their brigade commanders and the rest might not allow them to be part of this protest because they are not allowed to join maybe certain unions in the country and all that, but they are also suffering. This is a peaceful protest. I expect that they will be walking along with the protesters, peacefully.
Peaceful.
All right? To ensure safety and to also show their dissatisfaction with the current policies of the government, with the hunger in the land, with the insecurity in the land. Because that they are Nigerian. Look, viewers and listeners, this is the time when silence is not golden. They say sometimes, they say that silence is golden. This is the time silence is not golden. You keep quiet, you will die quietly. You'll be dying quietly. This is the time to speak out against the evil we see in the land.
Yes.
This is the time to tell the government that you're wrong. This is the time to let the government know that Nigerians are dying every day. People cannot afford just one meal in a day. You can imagine what people are suffering. And Ramadan is at hand.
Already
by next month we'll be getting to Ramadan. And Christians are fasting. This is Lent season. Next month will be Ramadan. Ramadan is going to begin before the end of the Lenten season. And then you can imagine when people will fast and they have nothing to break their fasting with. You can imagine Nigerians that are starving and they have to fast and pray in the midst of the starvation, and the government does not care. Now, the Trade Union Congress has advised the government yesterday that in the next 2 weeks, they should import food into the country to feed Nigerians. That's one of the recommendations of the Trade Union Congress. And they said they'll be making some more recommendations to the government, which is good. The Nigerian Labour Congress also has made some recommendations, and today we expect that when they do their rally, they will also make some recommendation to the government. But the question is, would the government listen? Would the government implement the recommendation? Would the government do what is needful to ensure that Nigerians do not starve to death? And that is the big question that only the government can answer.
Prof, again, I've watched a viral video talking about Senate President, lamenting over the situation that subventions, allocations have been increased to state governors so as to be able to help stand the hardship. But it seems they are jeopardizing, state governors are jeopardizing the federal government efforts to help the people get rid of this hardship. And so he was really lamenting. And I get to wonder, shouldn't there be some state efforts, governors, to see how they can strategize in their own level as governors of various states that we have, to see how, if there's anything they can do, even before a federal government's policies and other things in the same line?
And he has a point. Even though there is more that he can do, the Senate President, can they cut down their own allowances? Because they're spending too much money on themselves. Do they need those retinue of aides? Do they need all those vehicles that they're using? So the Senate President should not even be talking because he's not feeling anything. He's enjoying himself. Because if these politicians were serious, they will cut down their own expenses. If they were serious, they will be using made in Nigerian cars. They'll be wearing made in Nigerian clothes. But that's not what you see.
Okay.
All right, he has a point that state governors are not doing enough. Local government chairmen, they're not doing enough. All these politicians from local government to federal government level, they're not doing enough. I agree with him, he has a point. The governors are collecting humongous amounts of money. Where is the money going to? Can they tell us what they're doing with all those money? So that is a problem. So he has a point, but let's have a holistic approach. From the federal government down to local government level. Let's cut down on expenses. Let our political leaders show us an example. The example they should show us is, because they're telling Nigerians be patient, endure. Let them also start enduring. Let the president cut down his own salary and allowances by 70%. The senators cut by 70%. Honorable members also read by 70%. Governors 70%. Down to local government chairpersons by 70%. And let them dispose of all those their foreign cars. Let them start using made in Nigerian cars. I tell you, if they begin to do this, there will be a revolution in the country. The country will get better within a short time if they dispose all their vehicles, buy innocent vehicles made in Nigerian cars. If they stop wasting our money to go abroad on medical tourism and holidays and invest the money here in Nigeria. If all the dollars that they have stolen and they're keeping it in Switzerland, keeping it in Germany, in Australia, America, other parts of the world, repatriate that money back to Nigeria. If our political leaders will show us an example by beginning to eat what we produce and produce what we eat. Let us not be seeing shoes made in Italy on their feet. Let us not be seeing wristwatches, expensive wrist watches imported from abroad. Let us not see it on their wrist. Let everything about them be made in Nigeria. By the time they begin to do this, we'll begin to think that they are becoming serious. By the time we make political office in this country unattractive, then we will know that our political leaders are becoming serious. When the political leaders begin to earn the salary of a secondary school teacher, then we will know that they're becoming serious, that they're there to serve selflessly. Of course, we will still take care of their expenses of traveling when they have official functions, but let their salary be the salary of a secondary school teacher.